So normally pushing in a brawling battleship can happen when there's not a bunch of destroyers around. And in this one, I'm actually going to push into two Shimikazes, or a Shimikaze and a Yamagiri eventually. There's also a submarine around that is going to be a bit of an issue in the future. But in this game with the Hannover, this is easily my most successful push into some of the worst ships I could possibly choose to push into. Normally, these don't work out, and I'll die very quickly. But I had to show you this one because it just worked out so perfectly. We're going to start with C. This is always an interesting cap to go to at the start, since it is a major choke point on this map. As many of you know, there's a large stalemate that often happens here. However, this time, we're going to push through and fortunately dodge the first Shimikaze salvo. As you can see, I'm checking out the secondaries on Hannover, trying to see how their angles are. So there's a few secondaries that you need to go very broadside to even fire at any of the enemies. So here is the Shimikaze down on half HP or even less now, and our secondaries are doing a pretty good job. We've nearly farmed up our special gimmick on the Hannover, which of course is the range and reload boost to our secondaries, but I'm not going to use that very quickly here. I have to wait and hang on to it for a moment in this battle where I really need it. This Jean Bart, of course, will be taken down very quickly by my secondaries and my main guns. They all either overmatch with the main guns. As you can see, a couple pens there is 10k, and our secondaries all have over 32 millimeters of pen. The Hannover really is a brawling beast. This ship is really, really good in these close quarters scenarios. Unfortunately, the enemy does have a United States, so we're going to take some pain here, but not too much that I think we can't push in. Probably going to eat a torpedo from this Shimikaze. Unfortunately, though, for us, this enemy carrier isn't particularly aware of his surroundings. So, yes, he's going to do a lot of damage to us. I mean, that hurt a lot. And since he's angled, there's really not a lot I can do to him, since at this range, a lot of our AP main gun damage is from plunging fire. So not a lot of damage I can do, but this guy's going to constantly come in back and strike after us. A bow-in stationary battleship, I guess, is too juicy. But a problem for him is that we have a Yamagiri on his flank. And yeah, maybe some carriers I wish would be a little bit more aware of their surroundings rather than just focusing out and farming out my battleship all the time. I would certainly prefer that to, well, what we see here. Usually this is the standard way these games go in a Hannover or any of the brawling battleships, pushing in and getting farmed out. But fortunately this time, our Yamagiri did get on the flank of the carrier, and he's going to take him out here with his torpedo salvo. So pretty fortunate for me that the enemy carrier is going to be gone so early into this game. We still have an enemy Shimikaze, submarine, and enemy Yamagiri to contend with. And especially the Shimikaze is worrying since, well, he's on low HP. And anyone with Adrenaline Rush in a Shimikaze on low HP, it's pretty scary considering the amount of torpedoes they can send out at us. And we don't even have Hydro available for us right now. But I'm still going to push. I decided this game that I wanted to try and make an aggressive Hannover play work. I've also built this up for full secondaries again, and this time I'm actually using Lucians. So as soon as we get 100 secondary hits, our secondaries will fire even faster yet. So unfortunately, main guns are missing this St. Louis. They go a little bit low, but we are able to avoid this next set of torpedoes, which is really nice, and our Hydro will be up for the upcoming torpedoes. Main guns can't quite take out the St. Louis, unfortunately. I do think that the accuracy on the Hannover, and the Satsuma for that matter, are pretty bad most of the time. But at least here, we do have the secondaries to make up for it. And in fact, if we look at the end score later on in this game, you're going to see just how much damage I get out of these secondaries. It's kind of ridiculous. So secondary Hannover is a pretty solid option, I gotta say. So we're going to take out the St. Louis there with an overpen and pop our Hydro. Our Yamato friend is going to pick up the C-cap, and this gives us the opportunity to push in. And this is where I would normally stop. if I hadn't stopped already, honestly. Charging out around that corner on the C cap there is asking to eat a face full of torpedoes from a Shimakaze. But here, if I wasn't pushing it my luck already, I will be now, because I'm not going to stop and sit on this island here. This is also what I have saved my gimmick, my secondary ability for on the Hannover. It's for this moment here, where we see the Satsuma is reasonably close to us, but in a kiting position. So 13.2 kilometers, normally we won't be able to hit that with our secondaries. And that's a really awkward range, since the Hannover is close enough that it's always going to be spotted, but it's not quite close enough to fully utilize all of its offensive capabilities. And in a ship like the Kurfürst or the Preussen, well, that would be the end of it. But with the Hannover, we get this special ability. So I'm going to pop that as soon as I'm around the corner to deal with this Satsuma. But unfortunately, there's a submarine to my right. And now we know there's two destroyers on my left, the Yamagiri and the Shimakaze. And then I have a submarine to deal with on my right. So how are we going to deal with this? Our Hydro is still available, but not for very long. I did whiff my first drop on the submarine. I thought for some reason he was coming towards me, even though he's running away. So I miss a little bit, but get a flood at least. Now with these pings coming in, I have to be aware that there's going to be torpedoes eventually coming for me. I also have to assume the Shimakaze is going to be torping at me as well. So I decide to turn into where I think the Shimakaze torps are coming from. And at the same time, this should help me to dodge the incoming torpedoes from the submarine. And as you can see, we do just that. Along with our secondaries being activated with Luchins, so they're even crazier. Unfortunately, we do run out of our gimmick, our secondary boost the Hannover has. We've already done some pretty solid damage to this Annapolis and this Satsuma, while staying angled and not eating torps. But here, this is the scary part for me. And this is where I thought for sure I was going to die very, very quickly. No more Hydro, submarine, Yamagiri, and Shimakaze all torping me at the same time. A dangerous position to be in, but we managed to dodge most of this next salvo of torps, and we live to fight a little bit longer. Fortunately, we're out of the line of fire of the enemy submarine, using this island to the right of my ship, and because I had to turn to dodge these torpedoes, well, we're giving full broadside to a Satsuma. And yeah, there goes 30k HP, just like that. But we're still in it, and our secondaries are absolutely tearing this Satsuma up. We're already on 178,000 damage, and the full secondary build seems to be working pretty good. It certainly does help that the Satsuma is such a gigantic target. And there we go. Close quarters expert. The Annapolis on the enemy team is actually taken out as well. And we've basically won this game with our team. So now, well, we're gonna die. This is the end for me. But I managed to take out two of the enemy's super ships, or at least help take them both out, and really secure this win. Our friendly Conde, you can see in B1, has actually been doing a great job of stalling out the enemy team's push. While we were pushing through C, of course, the enemy team had a massive numbers advantage on A, so that's where this game was going to be won or lost. So Conde did a great job kiting out and farming and stalling the enemy's push, while we were then able to push through C and catch their flank. That's the whole idea behind, well, not wanting to give up 3/4 of the map. Puts you in a crossfire and often ends up in a loss. So that's why I'm constantly talking about not giving up sides of the map, even if my ship isn't perfect for whatever side of the map I spawned on. I don't want to give it up for free because, well, these crossfires can just be that deadly. And here comes our death, I think. Not quite, assuming we can dodge these next torpedoes here. And we find ourselves a Yamagiri. Well, and the Shimakaze is around as well. So even if his burst fire here didn't kill me and we might have got a few more secondaries in, the torpedoes that were going to kill me are about to show up on my right from the Shimakaze. So unfortunately, not quite able to finish off this game while still alive, but a really successful Hannover push regardless. I was shocked, actually, that this game was even possible. Usually, I end up dying very, very quickly, so I had to show it to you. And look at that. We end up with 75,000 secondary damage, plus another 33,000 from our fires. So don't underestimate the Hannover secondaries. Even though I wish they did have Schlieffen accuracy to be super, super insane, they're still pretty good. And look at that, we even turned a profit on this game. As far as the build on the Hannover, it really hasn't changed outside of swapping in Lucians. So, of course, the secondary upgrades, trying to get a little bit of tankiness back with fire prevention and emergency repair expert. Onto the equipment, of course, I am still running the full secondary build. I don't know if this is the best build for Hannover, but it sure is fun and can result in some pretty amazing games, assuming I get a little bit lucky. So thank you very much for watching this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.